My journey began with the uniform. We headed over to the Navy Exchange Service Command to get suited up. Once suited up, IT-1 Clark helped me place my patches.
Flag on first.
And then
Stars don't run.
Yep, and then organizational.
Next line of business, packing my sea bag.
Every time before you go on deployment or any type of effects, operations, whatever, you're going to take your nice little sea bag and you're going to store all your uniform things and all your happy stuff in it.
The sailors have the packing process down to a science, no matter the length of trip.
If I'm going on a 6-week underway, I'm not going to bring as much, but if I'm going on an 8-month deployment, I'm going to put some extra things in here.
The weather is factored into what goes in the bottom of the bag.
So you have your all-weather parka. It's nice, it's rain resistant, it's made of Gore-Tex. It melts really easy. But we like to fold that, and then we put that at the bottom. It's a good baseline.
Jackets packed, dress uniforms come next.
You can put your dress uniforms together.
Perfect. And then what about this?
That's your Dixie cup. So that goes for your dress blues or for your dress whites.
Okay, so I can wear it with both.
Now it's time for day to day.
So we have like a dress slack and then our beige blouse, correct?
Yep.
Gotcha. And when would I be wearing that one?
That one you'll wear for boards or for standing quarterdeck watches, small things like that.
A second working uniform gets packed up, and at this point, I'm impressed.
Wow, this bag holds so much stuff.
In case you've lost track, roughly 20 things are now packed in the bag, and the biggest pieces go next.
So those are our dress shoes. Those go with our NSUs, our whites, and our blues. We just go ahead and toss them in. And then to keep them from getting bothered or creased by the boots, we'll do our PT gear.
Everyday boots are next, and arrangement is key even with an already full bag.
These go on top of our workout gear.
Yep, so easier way too. Just lay them down.
Flat.
Shirts and belts are the final piece to the puzzle.
Now we close it up.
Once the top is closed, it's time to set sail.
This is really heavy. How much do you think this weighs?
20 to 30 pounds later, I swung the bag on.
Yeah, that is way better.
Now you take your hands down and you can grab the straps, lean forward, and just shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And pull down. Done.
Cool.
Easy peasy.
All right. I think I'm ready to go now.
Or at least I thought. Usually sailors have multiple bags.
So backpack in front, sea bag behind me.
Yep, garment bag in the side, and then you're good to go.
So how much am I carrying at that
60,
point?
70 pounds?
Yeah, that's a lot. We have officially landed on the George H.W. Bush carrier, and I am now in the Oval Office. Or it looks like the Oval Office at least. So this room is actually modeled after George H. Bush's Oval Office. It has the white couches, it has the rug, it has the desk, and all of this is actually the captain's import cabin. So this is where the captain of the ship stays. He does all of his work here. You can also see the planes that are landing on the flight deck.
Captain Robert Bibbo has been in command of the George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier for almost a year.
Right now, we're early in our workup cycle. We're in what's called the basic phase, where we come out and we train up a bunch of new sailors. We test our ship and make it better after a maintenance availability period, kind of like a test drive after you get your car back out of the shop. We work on those basic skills, and then as we move deeper into the workup cycle, we'll start doing more complex tactical things.
Sailors have a variety of jobs on board the CVN-77, as do the pilots, who are up against one of their biggest challenges yet.
So the flying we're doing this week when we're out here, it's mostly new F-18 pilots and new F-35 pilots who have learned to fly on training aircraft. Now they're learning on their fleet aircraft, and they're learning how to do kind of the defining act of naval aviation, which is come out and take off and land on a ship.
To qualify as captain, you must also be a pilot, so Bibbo knows exactly what it takes to be in naval aviation. His call sign or nickname given to him by other pilots was Trendy when he went through his initial F-18 training in the early 2000s.
I'm named after a character from South Park. Timmy! Yeah, there you go. You nailed it.
While the pilots are important, Bibbo says every job makes the aircraft carrier an important weapon.
We're very mobile, we're very adaptable, we're very flexible, and we come with a significant amount of power. So when there's changes throughout the world, short notice crises throughout the world, an aircraft carrier strike group is an incredible option.
Most of the sailors on the ship are in their mid-20s doing their first tour. Captain Bibbo relates to the excitement of being aboard the CVN-77, but knows the Navy family means more.
For a lot of our sailors, they get attracted to the Navy by the cool things and the cool operations, right? The aircraft carrier, the fighter jets, and then most of us stay for the people. You join the organization You find a bunch of amazing people that you work with, you build relationships, you build a leadership style, and that's kind of what keeps people in.
Steady as she goes. Instructional facilitator Sharon Faraci has been teaching Nashville native Grace Diaz the ins and outs of how to be a surface warfare officer.
As an OOD, what Ms. Diaz is going to be doing is taking those factors and mitigating those risks, understanding how it affects the ship and compensating for it.
The simulator Diaz and I teamed up on let us practice directing the ship through the ocean.
All engines ahead flank.
The simulator has different scenarios to practice, including changing weather and seas congested with other boats.
She has a couple of simulator sessions in BDOC right now, Basic Division Officers course. And then after this, she immediately goes into 6 weeks of almost constantly every day simulator sessions, between 4 and 6 hours each every day.
These exercises may be time-consuming, but they're important to Diaz.
I plan to show up to my ship extremely confident in being up on the bridge and giving directions and making decisions about the safe navigation of the ship, and being in these simulations for hours every day is going to prepare me for that.
After graduating from college in Oregon, Diaz's first post-grad adventure wasn't the Navy.
I ended up going into city planning, which I was really interested in, but I just wasn't fulfilled by a desk job. I really wanted to just get out there and do something.
Inspired by military parents, she applied for officer candidate school for the surface warfare officer job. After getting in, she packed her bags and headed north.
So it's a 13-week-long course up in Newport, Rhode Island, and it starts out very heavy on physical training, getting indoctrinated into the Navy, learning how to properly address people, learning how to pretty much just be in the Navy.
Before commissioning in January, Diaz came home to South Nashville.
I was lucky enough to work at the Navy Talent Acquisition Group Nashville, which is located right by the zoo. So I was there for about 3 months, and I got to work with the officer recruiters there.
Diaz decided recruiting college and post-college kids like her was a new goal.
Really talked to students at Belmont University, and I helped move applications along to get more officers into the Navy.
As Army veterans, Grace's parents understood her choices, but it took some time.
It took them a minute to really know that, oh, I'm going to be gone for a while, I'm going to be out doing a lot of things out in the ocean, but they're actually really happy. They love seeing me graduate. They loved having me home in Nashville, where I got to hang out with them for a while, and then they're going to come visit me on my ship in Spain soon, so that'll be great.
So since we're underway, we can't call the local fire department, so we have to be our own firefighters.
Petty Officer First Class Evan Hammonds left Kingsport, Tennessee 15 years ago to join the Navy. He has been a diesel mechanic for 13 years and sharpens his skills with drills.
As the Navy, we have a bunch of drills and stuff that we have to do to make sure we're proficient. And you guys are going to get to dress out in some of our damage control gear, get to play with some of our firefighting equipment. It'll be a little friendly competition, see who can get dressed out fastest, who can, be most accurate with a fire hose.
While the drills are fun and necessary, that's not the typical day for Hammonds. Usually, he's an instructor.
Training the junior sailors, making sure they follow all the typical protocols, procedures, training them so they can replace me. I'm currently one of 6 or 7 qualified chief engineers, which are the engineers that operate these boats back here when we go downrange and go on deployment.
The boats Hammonds works on are lovingly called amphib boats.
Traditionally, amphibious landings, amphibians reside in both land and water. So naturally, because we're both land and water, we take the Marines and put them ashore, so we're amphibious in nature.
They set themselves apart by being the brown water Navy.
Traditionally, what you'll have is blue water Navy, which are the big ships like carriers, destroyers, and things. And then you have the amphib Navy, which is the brown water Navy, because we operate in that gray area in between.
They also help civilians when there are natural disasters.
We'll go downrange to a hurricane-affected area or a natural disaster area, and we'll do humanitarian aid, loading, unloading, medical supplies, actual supplies, food, water, things of that nature.
With 5 years left on his contract, he is ready to come back to the volunteer state.
Go back home to Tennessee, farm a little bit, be left alone, kind of not have to deal with people and systems and stuff, just kind of farm and go back to where I'm actually more comfortable.
separates us from the average pilot is being an aviator in which we can land at sea.
Lieutenant Andrew Mueller, F-18 instructor pilot, has been training new naval pilots how to take off and land on the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier.
We teach them to fly the Super Hornet, and this is their graduation here, in which we're teaching them to land on the ship both day and night.
This is no small task, since the runway is 300 feet with the assistance of a catapult, versus more than 5,000 feet on dry land for an F-18 takeoff.
As you launch off a catapult, your brain is experiencing this feeling of rolling back in your head, and it's giving the sensation that you're being shot up into the ether. So you really don't want to manipulate the controls until after you've come off the end, and the jet's auto-trimmed to fly you away. So you don't want to hastily grab the stick and push in either direction. So nice, disciplined shot, sweet, good shot, safely flying away, and then got your procedures from there.
Top Gun brought a lot of insight into the danger that goes into being a fighter pilot, and Lieutenant Mueller saw how that affected the Navy firsthand.
My old man was actually a naval aviator back in the day. And prior to the original Top Gun movie coming out, people had no idea what naval aviators did, what an aircraft carrier was. It was almost an unknown group of fighter pilots going out and doing things. But once you make a couple movies about it, then I think it puts in the public's imagination, and it increases recruiting and retention as well.
And while he says the movie is pretty accurate, it takes more than just pilots to make any flight operation possible.
There's 13 pilots and maybe 10 jet aircraft. But honestly, there's 300 hardworking Navy sailors who are making sure that the engines are operational, the flight controls are there, and the software, everything that makes the whole team work.
Besides making the team proud, pilots know the legacy they carry when they reach the flight deck.
We always stand on the shoulders of giants is a pretty famous quote in our community. So for me, looking at guys who would come back and they'd be old Hornet pilots or legacy Tomcat pilots, and they tell their stories, and especially every couple months we get a couple of Vietnam era guys come in, they tell us about their missions. It's super inspiring.
Even on the worst days, Mueller knows he's doing what's best for his predecessors.
I think sometimes no matter how bad your worst day is or your worst night is, you kind of look out there and be like, hey, a lot of great naval aviators came before me, and if they could do it, then I can make them proud and do it myself.
I am so proud to still come from the hills of Tennessee, baby, them Appalachian Mountains, because I feel like I can bring something to the table too.
Leah Parks studied English, journalism, and communications at ETSU. Once graduating, she was looking for her next adventure.
What am I going to do to have free healthcare and also travel and also serve something bigger than myself? I looked into the Navy and they had the perfect job for me, which is to be a mass communication specialist, and here I am.
Born and raised in Kingsport, Tennessee, there was a culture shock joining the military.
Coming into the Navy, you are coming into a melting pot of cultures, of people with different backgrounds, religions, upbringings, and it really just teaches you how to serve with one another humbly.
Her job is similar to a civilian's media job.
If you're in photography, you'll go take photos. If you're in social media, you'll go get some videos, do man on the streets. And if you're in video, you'll put together a really cool video that is just showing what the Navy can do.
She even created her own segment just for the CVN 77.
So what Shop Hop is a social media series that goes around to different departments on the ship and asks each sailor what they do. So one cool thing about an aircraft carrier, when we're fully stocked, we have 5,000 sailors, which is a lot of people, which means a lot of jobs and a lot of responsibilities.
Not only is Parks a sailor, but a newlywed to a Marine.
We're mill-to-mill marriage, and so we are up for orders together at the same time, which is really, really helpful because we're not stationed together. So one thing you have to do is something called a co-location, where you're like asking the military, can you please put us together so that we can, I don't know, be happily married?
Parks' Navy pride is only heightened by playful banter with her husband.
Being in different branches is kind of, the Navy's better, but he's got that ooh-rah mentality, which makes it fun too. So yeah, I love that he's a Marine.
Landing a plane takes a certain level of skill. But in the middle of the ocean, on a moving runway, almost impossible, unless you're part of the U.S. Naval Aviation. I got the full explanation from Vulture's Row on the USS George H.W. Bush.
There are 3 different corps that has a tail hook on the plane, and they're trying to connect with any of these 3 cords. Now, what your best performance is going to be is on that second cord.
The first one is closest to the ocean. The second one would be the perfect landing, and the third one is actually the one that many pilots have been hitting today. And that's okay, but this will be affecting their score that the score team has been calculating down on the flight deck. For now, they're going to continue to land throughout the rest of the evening, but they have to get a certain score to then even be considered for nighttime landing.
The night is where we operate. The opportunity to go out there and do our country's good deeds. There's bad people around the globe who need to be taken care of, and at night is the best way to do it.
F-18 instructor pilot Lieutenant Andrew Mueller has been teaching new pilots how to land at night and the mental toughness it takes to trust your training and the landing signal officer.
It's pretty tough for the human mind to literally be staring at death in the face and a guy's on the radio being like, hey, you look good, dude. Keep it coming.
Mueller understands the jitters that come with landing at night and recalls one of his scariest moments.
You see a ship, pitching up and down into the blackness, propellers coming out, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to land there. Very cool. And at one point, the LA can go so far down, and the ship come out of the water that it completely disappears, and you're basically staring at death in the face.
His best advice to overcome nerves?
When you walk out on an aircraft carrier deck at night, take a deep breath and go like, well, no, actually, I'm the boogeyman tonight. I'm the darkness, and then I'm going to go do some good work for the U.S. Navy.
Shooting tube 4, 3, 2, 1.
We shoot torpedoes in exercises fairly regularly. Most exercises that we shoot torpedoes in, they're exercise torpedoes. So it's exactly the same as a war shot, except that it has the warhead group removed.
Chief Petty Officer Craig Dunlap on the USS Pasadena knew being a torpedo man was his calling.
Our job as torpedo men, we're responsible for all of the weapons launchers, the countermeasures launchers, the heavy weapons, the heavy ordnance, the countermeasures, the small arms, everything on the boat that's supposed to go boom.
While torpedoes are complex, Dunlap spends most of his time fixing problems with everyday tools.
I like to say part of my job is hitting things with wrenches to make them go. So we do a lot of wrench turning, operating and maintaining mechanical equipment with hydraulics, high pressure air, seawater, low pressure air, and so on.
The weapons launch console also keeps the team busy with over 1,000 switches and buttons.
It's actually 1,640. I counted them.
Not all of his time is spent in the torpedo room. The flex hose is a heavy steel braided cable that trails behind a torpedo once launched. If things go wrong, torpedo men are called to action.
Sometimes it'll snag and it won't leave the tube correctly. So when we go to shut the muzzle door, it's still inside the tube. And at that point, we have to drain the tube, quickly open the breech door before it fills back up again because it's not a perfect seal. And then one of the TMs has to crawl down to the end of the tube to cut that flex hose with a manual hydraulic cutter.
I couldn't resist crawling into the torpedo tube myself.
When there is water coming in to cut the flex hose, you go all the way down this tube, and of course, you want to be in warm water where it's trickling in, but I can't imagine going all the way down to the end of this tube with water gushing at me like it's a fire hose and it being cold. Like I said, I'm a little out of breath because it's kind of nerve-wracking in here.
While practice torpedoes are frequently used, it's been decades since a torpedo was used by the U.S. for war.
The last time we actually fired a war shot in anger in a time of war was World War II.
Despite sometimes spending months unable to contact friends and family, Dunlap is filled with pride.
I get to make a difference. I'm doing things that, with the people around me, I make a difference, and what the mission the submarine does, it moves nations.
Well, good morning. I am here on the USS Pasadena, and I am in a C9 room. So it has 9 beds, but you might be wondering, where do I store all of my things? Well, there's a little bit of space for it.
Sailors are given small racks with a mattress that lifts to store the recommended 10 days worth of clothes. Space quickly becomes limited as sailors come aboard.
It might look big from the outside, but fitting 150 people on here is a big task.
Not every sailor gets their own rack once the nuclear submarine is underway.
So a lot of these guys are hot racking, so we don't have enough racks to support the whole crew on board, so they have to share racks. So there'd be like 2 or 3 people per rack, so they know when their off-going time is, somebody's sleeping in their bed.
Culinary specialist Submarine First Class Noah Kovacic has been working on submarines for 9 years and has learned the tricks of the trade to overcome small spaces.
I always have like a think small mentality. So like I'm a bigger guy, so the sub's very small. So you kind of gotta get in the corners, get to the side, let people pass.
When most people think of submarines, the mind usually races to small spaces and torpedoes, and while the vessel has both, they're also known for superior chow.
I grew up cooking. I love to cook, so I went to culinary school before the Navy, and then I wanted to join. I've always had a passion to join, so when I joined, I found out I can cook, and submarine sounded pretty cool, so I came down to subs.
The reason that food is known for being some of the best in the Navy, says Kovacic, is due to the lack of storage.
It's a lot of from-scratch cooking, so you don't have the room, the space to hold the food like pre-made items, so everything's from scratch, making like bread from scratch, cookies from scratch, desserts from scratch, and that's the way I love to cook.
His favorite day in the galley? Stir Fridays.
I love Asian night myself, usually a pretty big hit for the crew. We make like fried teriyaki chicken, they usually love it.
My dad, he was a nurse in the Navy, and originally I was going to do that, but then I realized I didn't really like science class that much, but it was okay. And then my dad figured out, oh yeah, there's Navy musician.
Morgan Ramirez, musician second class in the U.S. Navy, understands the life of a sailor from his long family history of service.
So I'm actually third generation Navy, so the way that my family got here from the Philippines, my grandpa joined the Navy on a submarine back when it was just a steward, and then he transitioned to being a culinary specialist.
After moving across the United States every 3 years for his dad's naval career, Ramirez was ready to start his own naval adventure as he readied himself for his vocalist audition.
I went to Nashville, Tennessee. I had to prepare like 8 songs in various different styles and make sure to stick to each style. So we got to sing rock songs, we got to sing R&B, country songs, you know, anything, and then you got to sing the anthem as well.
Ramirez has only traveled to South America once on deployment, but some of the more seasoned musicians, like Chief Colin Rinko, has been on missions all over the world for 21 years.
I've been to more than 40 countries across Asia, Europe, and Africa, and a good chunk of the United States as well.
The band is packing up and headed to their next deployment.
Continuing promise, and we're going to be getting on the Comfort, a big hospital ship, and it's essentially a goodwill mission down to South America. We're going to see 6 different countries and perform schools and public concerts, provide medical care and dental care as well to the locals there.
No matter if this is their first deployment or their 100th, music unites bandmates and countries.
Everybody loves music, and a lot of times, even though we don't speak the same language, music is all something we can all agree on.
Right behind me is the Fleet Angels. Now you might feel like I'm yelling. The reason why is it is so loud here.
Keegan Daniels, aviation warfare specialist, is used to the loud propellers and commotion that comes with being in a helicopter. Daniels and his team get to jump out of the helicopters and save pilots if they do go down in the ocean.
Some different stations specialize in over-land rescues. Some places specialize in over-water rescues, but all AWS can do both.
Becoming an AWS is no small task. Very few people make it through all of the training.
Out of the 90 people I went to boot camp with, I graduated with 3 people.
274 sailors are a part of the Fleet Angels HSC-2 squadron. Aviation electrician's mate first class, Erin Barnes, is one of them. She calls Clarksville, Tennessee home, but she's always been inspired by her family to join the Navy.
So my Aunt Julie was in the Navy. She was an aviation ordnance man, and she had been talking about her time in the Navy from the time I was 11, 12 years old, and I thought that sounded really, really cool.
Barnes' most fond memory so far since joining the Navy is getting deployed to Japan.
I mean, what made it so cool was just being in a different country, experiencing the different culture, the different food, the different customs, the people.
After all of her years in the Navy, Barnes has a message for the students at her alma mater, Northeast High School in Clarksville.
If I were to go back and they were thinking about joining the Navy, I would tell them to do it. Pull the trigger and go. It's going to be one of the best things that you could ever do. It's definitely an experience that not very many people get to have. And the places you go and the people you'll meet will really change your outlook on life.
It was a culture shock at first. You know, going to Chicago was a big change. So it was the first time really outside of Waynesboro.
Chief Petty Officer William Johnston graduated from Wayne County High School and knew he wanted to serve his country and see the world.
Went to the recruiting station in Columbia, and then they shipped me off, flew out of Nashville.
Since joining the Navy, Johnston has been deployed all over the world, including the Baltic Sea and the Mediterranean. One place holds a special spot in his heart.
I really enjoyed going to South America, so I've been through probably 10 different countries in South America, so I enjoyed that, the food, the culture down there.
After worldwide action-packed deployments, he has returned to the United States and resides in Norfolk working behind the scenes. I got to ride in one of the boats he communicates with.
The 40-foot patrol boat, so fairly new for us. I'm mainly in the operations center, so we communicate with the boats via radio, and we allow the CO to make decisions.
His main job on deployment is relaying information and the needs of boats and their crew.
Provide harbor security, so we escort supply ships, submarines, anything we're tasked with, we'll provide escorts to them overseas.
After almost 20 years of service, I asked Johnston what's next.
I'm going to re-enlist again, try to stay as long as possible.